Pretty exciting. Mermaid.
I find you, it's not loading.
Mermaid.
Where'd it go?
I'm back.
It's not showing up on the page yet. I'm refreshing. There you are.
Under. And there's Leslie Williams.
Oh, there's Leslie.
Okay, so we're
You're
all...
still on my end.
Hmm?
You're still paused on my end.
Okay, well, I'm having coffee out of my new mermaid cup,
Nice.
which I'm super excited about because I am a mermaid. It says that Heidi wants to join me. Does Heidi want to join me?
Okay, now we have good image, good thing.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So,
I love the cup.
my mermaid cup.
Leslie Williams says, love the mermaid cup.
Hmm.
We have Kristen Hedberg. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Shannon says hello to all. Val Smith, good morning. Good morning,
morning.
Val. Heidi Evans says hi. Maria Neos Devesa says hello. Lynn Bridge says hi, everyone. Heidi says, it made me choose join to watch.
I mean, you can come on if you have something to say.
Websites are wonky today.
Yeah.
They really are.
Val and I have to go see Sapphire, though. They got all moved in, all the horses. Sapphire's around the corner. Yeah.
Can you wait a couple of months?
Well, we can go more than once.
Okay.
So, today we thought we had a guest, but he couldn't do it, so it's okay. I have some cool guests coming up, by the way. Maybe I'll bring Afton on and she can give us a progress report. Of course, Afton's like, oh no, I can't do that now.
Disappear.
But I'll bring Afton on here in a minute if she's willing to. Will you text her?
Yeah.
It says bring them on video. Anyway, so it's our summer break for the school, which is means that sometimes we're working harder. I know that I was in meetings all day yesterday and working on some things, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're new to me, oh, and I got the release date of my new book. It's August 2023. The new book will also be a Leo. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
When it comes out, when August?
2023.
Okay. I thought you said August 23rd. That's why I wanted to clarify. I was like, wait, that's fast.
No, 2023.
Got it.
August 2023. And so we're working out dates and when I'll do what in terms of a little book tour. And it's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. So, if you're new to me, my name is Joan Ranquet. I'm an animal communicator, author, TEDx speaker, and founder of Communication with All Life University. And the school is a program has programs for people that want to learn animal communication or become an animal communicator, if they want to learn energy healing for animals or they want to become an energy healer. And it's also for people that want to learn all about nature and wildlife. And oh my God, one of the meetings yesterday, we really nailed down some upcoming curriculum, which is what I'd love to talk about. And I thought maybe we could, if people have questions about the school or classes, now would be a good time to ask. I'm sure if I said I want to bring Shannon on, see if I can.
Afton says she's going to try and move the client back if you want her on.
Yeah, just for a minute. But we really are, we have the main big program, and we have the animal communication single certification, we have the energy healing single certification, and we're adding two more that kind of fall into graduate studies in a way. So if you've gone through the big program, it would be an add-on, and or you have access to most of it through teacher training. So anyway, the other tracks are animal ambassadorship, which is being able to communicate with animals in sanctuaries, zoos, and really, we've got some amazing wildlife classes coming up. And then rescues and sanctuaries, and we're working with lab animals and professional animals. So that's a whole huge track, and we're gonna have paperwork on that shortly. It's funny because Shannon gets on the phone with people and they sign up without the paperwork, so we will have official paperwork, because it's really cool what we're doing. Then another track actually is the animals in transition, and that's again graduate level work, and it is really basically animal mediumship meets a doula class, and that we start in the fall with that. So that starts, I think, I want to say September 28th, and that's a 10-week course of talking to animals that have crossed over. Then we have so many classes coming up, it's not even funny. I don't want to forget Marie Christine's Subtle Energies, which is an amazing class. That comes up in September. So anyway, the animal, the Animals in Transition track is its own standalone thing, or could be seen as sort of a graduate thing if you were if you finished the big program or were in the big program. Then the other one is we've got the nature and wildlife is really shaping up. We've got a behavior class coming up. Well, this fall is when you start with communicating with animals in sanctuaries and zoos and wildlife rehab centers. So that starts this fall. That's the communication. And then we have a behavior class starting in wildlife behavior for 6 weeks with our primatologist, Wendy. That starts in March. No, starts in January, goes through March. Anyway, there are so many things. And one of, it's hard for people to understand. When I say people, let's say like coaches or marketing people, they're like, no, you should only sell one thing at one time. It's like, I'm a school. I am a school. We are a school. We have a lot of classes going on. So we're going to make it easy for people and create some, great graphics so you can see. And of course, the real graphic that you want to see is just getting on a call with Shannon, because she can, help you see your own path and not some sort of little checkoff list of what it is you want to explore. So that is that. And if anyone has any questions about that, please ask. Shannon, I think I'm forgetting something, but I want to go ahead.
Debbie Hallberg says, I so want to enroll in Animals in Transition. We'll be talking to Shannon. Good.
Good.
Catherine Myers-Miller says, it sounds incredible.
It is pretty exciting. It is.
It is.
It's, there's some things that happen really fast for me, and then, like, all of a sudden one day I don't have a truck, and the next thing I do. But, it's been on the radar for a long time, and all of these courses kind of coming into fruition at this point have been on the radar since 2015, but it's just, things take time, and you want everything to be going well. And so some of the prerequisites for all of it are starting this fall, which is AC level 1. That starts, help me out, in October, end of October. We have the fall intensive on October 7th through whatever 9 days after that is. Is that right?
Hold on, it's not opening.
I'm making updates. Anyway, the second weekend.
October 26th is AC level 1.
Okay.
Energy healing for animals starts November 10th.
Yeah, but when is the fall intensive?
It's October 7th through the 15th.
That's right. Okay. So the fall intensive is animal communication, animals in trans, a little death, dying, and beyond, and then energy healing for animals. And it's magical. Not gonna lie, it's totally magical. Maybe anybody here who's been here can type in. And then we've got, October 26th is animal communication level 1. November 10th is energy healing for animals. And then November 25th, I fly to Kenya. And we'll be meeting several people. I'm still have my fingers crossed about someone whose initials are Kristen. And then I thought I was going to go to Uganda by myself, but it turns out Cass, who's going on the Kenya trip, is now joining me to Uganda. So there's an add-on trip. I know that Afton is thinking about the add-on trip. Tanya has nixed it. But that's okay. I will take pictures of gorillas for you. Anything else? Anyone else?
I was, I'm going back, okay. I put the links to all the classes that are coming up. And also I just want to, we keep saying this, but for any questions, if you have any questions about the program or the classes or what your path might look like, it's not one path for all, right? So I would recommend getting on the phone with Shannon. She is our
empath goddess. This week she's the goddess.
Her title, yeah.
The empath journey.
I put all of those links and Shannon's email in the chat. Afton says she's ready to come on whenever you're ready.
We're live again. Who knows what happened? Who knows? We're here and the interwebs are messing with us.
It's not up. There we go. Okay. Back to normal. Let's not have people come on camera.
I know. So maybe Afton could type in. Wanted to, we had worked with here on the live with a few of the rescues, so it'd be fun to get an update. But also, I just would love for Afton to share what the impact was for her to know a lot of these rescues and to see them, to use them throughout our rescue call. And then the other thing would be the same question would apply to the sanctuaries, but I'd like it that, there are two separate classes, and I think the experience is different, yes?
Very different. It's very different.
What's the difference between the rescue and the sanctuary call?
Yeah, they're both very different in the sense that with the rescue, we are trying to, there's a sense of urgency in the rescue with, how it goes can be life or death for that dog or cat, right? Because they're in a shelter situation sometimes and getting them adopted and behavioral issues and all that. With the sanctuary calls, the more life or death situation is really health issues rather than behavioral issues. So they're very different in that sense. They're both just as urgent. I mean, we did help a couple of animals in the sanctuary with medical issues that had, having had them on that class is what gave the sanctuary people the idea to take that animal in to get checked. And it turns out that what the class had pegged, there was something going on major. Unfortunately, we lost that little guy, but he would have suffered a lot more had they not. Everybody gave the same feedback about the guy. that kind of inspired, not inspired, what's the word I'm looking for? Gave a sense of urgency to the sanctuary, rushing to the vet instead of waiting till Monday.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, that's really powerful.
It's very powerful, and with the rescue call, we saw it was about helping animals find forever homes. Oh, there's Afton.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can
Yay!
everybody hear you?
I don't know what happened. That was wild. I think it's because I had you broadcasting on my TV and then I couldn't get it disconnected properly. So I don't know. Technology's not my forte.
No, we have other talents. So you being in the rescue world for a long time and then in the sanctuary world for a long time, I want these answered separately. What was the rescue call experience like for you? And then you just finished up the sanctuary, so I'm going to ask you the same thing on that. But let's just stick with the rescue call for a moment. So when I'm referring to the rescue call, we have an advanced program for people who've gone through animal communication, medical intuition, behavior dynamics, and relationships. And so the rescue call for you, what was the outcome of that and the experience?
So, and I heard Claudia's answer also, which is pretty accurate. I think the sheltering world is very different because they're not in a permanent location. So part of our piece of that is helping the person helping them find the best way to move them forward on that piece of their journey. So if it's a behavior thing, we're trying to, eliminate the behavior, lessen the behavior, change the behavior, whatever it is. If it's a medical thing, of course, we've hit on some pretty cool stuff there too. And it's just, it's really enabling that person to see the animal a little more clearly and connect with them a little better, and then move them forward on that track to a forever home.
Because wait, that's a really important thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The foster is not their person they've been with forever. So the foster or the rescue or the shelter is as much a loss as to who is this beautiful being as anybody is. And especially, we talk about this a lot in class. So much of what happens in a shelter is that animals are really grieving and they just they're in a shell of themselves. And there's so much overstimulation. Or if they're bounced from foster to foster, often they're in a home with, strangers, and it's weird. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, you're good. And a really important piece of having been in that world a long time and seeing the same thing in the people that we're helping, you do see really heavy thing after really heavy thing after really heavy thing, and you can really get bogged down by that. And the stories and the trauma can start to define the situation and the animal, which, you do such a great job of reframing that for everybody. And I can see that shift in them when we kind of take the behavior and pick it apart and show them there's a whole lot more that the animal isn't showing you. Like you just said, they're just showing you a piece of who they are. They're not showing you all of it. And I think it opens them up, and it also supports them, because again, when you're hit with that heavy stuff after heavy stuff all the time, it's really hard to stay positive and feel progress when you get stuck. And I think having a team come in, and we joke that it's like the Care Bear stare, but we come in and we sort of line up and and just shoot sunshine and rainbows and goodness at the situation and try to pick it apart a little bit for them. The feedback has been that they feel really supported, and I think really enabled. Like they feel really enabled to do the next thing and to make a good choice, the next choice they feel better about. So that's been really cool. I think it's a critical thing for when an animal's at a place where they don't know what to do next and there aren't good options. This is a really great way to spin that around for them.
it's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So then sanctuary is different because that's usually a permanent home. So they do know their animal, yet maybe they can't quite see, or maybe the animal is new to them. Share with us what that's like for you and what you've heard back from people.
It is different on our end and on their end too, I think, because it's not where does the animal need to go usually. Not to say that a sanctuary might not have a foster here and there that they're going to move on if that's the right thing to do, but most of the time they're there and they're trying to sort through, is the animal happy? Would the animal prefer this or that? Does the animal like their neighbors and their friends? What's causing this behavior we can't understand? It's more those, excuse me, those kinds of issues. And so again, as a team, we can kind of come in and break that down for them. And when you do see an animal every day, I think that's different. So it's challenging either way. If the animal's new to you in a shelter, you just don't have much history and you don't have much to go on. What's their resting state? What's their normal state of being? What do they look like when they're happy? You may not know any of those things. And in a sanctuary setting, you're probably going to know those things, but you also see them every day, so you may miss things.
Oh my God. Having an older horse, I can see her. It took the flaky handyman to say she dropped weight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at her every day.
Yeah.
And when I fired him, I think the 13th time, we're on 17 now. The 13th time, between 13 and 14, when he came back, he noticed she had dropped weight. And
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
yeah,
Yeah, a little
he's like,
distance.
Gabrielle's dropped weight. Like, he's so polite about it. But anyway, so, yeah, sometimes it takes the outside eye because you are looking at it every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think
I will
that's
say, though, I came back from Santa Cruz where I got my mermaid cup. And I feel like Penelope grew. I keep saying, you got bigger. Who's that you have there, Afton?
that's my church cat. He needed some attention right now, so
Oh my God.
he
So
didn't start yelling because I picked him up. Those are my two choices. No, I think it's been really, they're both magical, and I think everybody feels that when we're doing it. They're very different. I think the shelter folks deal with a lot of the same kinds of things, and again, like they're really close to it, so it's good for somebody else to say, this animal's presenting with this, and we feel that and we see that, but there's also this whole thing that can come out if you'll just give it a little time or give it a little whatever the thing is that the animal needs. um, it's really cool. And then the sanctuary stuff too, I think, those folks are throwing everything they have at those situations always without fail. And to say, here's a magical secret tool you could use, I mean, they're on board with that, always, because they've got the animal forever. So if they can do something to make forever feel and look better for that animal, they're in.
What were you going to
And
say?
they're also talking
Somebody's
about it.
raising her hand.
Oh, go.
I was gonna Afton, just to the last sanctuary call we had was really powerful in what happened to the woman who runs the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Afton, go ahead.
Yeah, and I know she wouldn't mind us talking about it. She runs a small sanctuary here in Tennessee, and she had taken in a donkey that was very hard to catch. So she was abandoned at a property when the people moved away, and with other animals. And so slowly, over the weeks and months after the sanctuary or after the property was empty, she was alone because everybody else had been captured and moved on to other things. And so it took a long time to catch her and gain her trust. And one of the cool things Leslie said was she sat down with her at the trailer and kind of tried to talk to her and say, I can get you to safety if you'll get in the trailer. I need you to get in the trailer. It had been weeks and weeks of her going out every other day, and another person going every day they went. And she got in the trailer that day. And so basically Leslie was doing animal communication, not realizing that's what she was doing. But of course, Dolly heard her, of course, and so she hopped in there. But the other cool thing is that, Leslie has seen a medical issue that we addressed, and then also just kind of some behavioral things that are kind of lingering from her past. And I think we helped her kind of see into both of those things. And I think she had been doubting herself. I heard her say that a couple of times. And us saying, here's what we all feel, and it being the same as what she thought was really powerful for her, because she felt really validated in a way that I think only we could have done that for her.
Right. And then from there, you're not fixing anything. They're able to see their own path to the next. What's next? What should we try here?
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Then what's going to be interesting about like the wildlife and that sort of thing is similar to the sanctuaries. In a wildlife conservation center, you're dealing with relationships, right? Like we always talk to the very dramatic family at the Gibbons Center, And, you know, this sister is mad at this sister, but the brother is doing this and the mother is doing that. And the father got dumped a few years ago. You didn't even get to meet him, Afton, but Claudia would remember him.
Yeah.
Dominic, he's out.
He had just left right when
Oh, okay. All right. So
Okay.
anyway, you know, there's so you're dealing with that, or some of the things that I remember, you know, when I've worked with a lot of sanctuaries is wildlife and rehab centers is, you know, so an animal might come in and it's not thriving, or you know, it's and why, you know, and another thing that happens with wildlife is um, uh, something like I have worked with an owl that was plucking all of its feathers out, and it was sitting in the same area as, you know, it was a raptor center, but nowhere in the wild would an owl be awake at the same time as a hawk. And so it was very unnerving for this owl. And when they finally moved the cage, they had me do some scalar. Um, this is probably 20 years ago, at least. They, the owl's feathers grew back. So it's a lot of the, you know, stuff that we'll work with is going to be vastly different, yet similar to the sanctuary, and very different from the shelter. Because in a lot of ways, the wildlife, like the sanctuary, is, you know, they may have to be there forever, unless they're in a real rehab plan, like a broken wing that's fixable, or a broken leg and a coyote that's fixable, and hopefully they'll be returned to exactly where they were released. Where they were taken. You know, there's just a lot of work in that area that's similar but different. So that's going to be a completely different class. Yeah, Claudia looks like she's about to take a nap.
I am not.
I'm kidding. And
Yeah.
then I would say that the professional animal class is going to be very different. You've worked with a lot of my old clients that were guide dogs. Guide dogs, animals in, I've worked forever with horses. Shannon's graduation, I used to do the graduation in Seattle where they had to go talk to horses at the Therapeutic Riding Center. And, you know, the shoer could be there. It could be a very busy barn aisle. I mean, it was crazy what I set people up to do. So, therapeutic riding centers, guide dogs, emotional support dogs, and then animals that show. Those are professional animals also, or animals in the movies. So, um, we'll be doing that in the winter for the ambassador program. And then lastly, and I have a little story to tell about this, we'll be doing lab animals. Well, you know, everybody's been like the 400 beagles, the 400 beagles, the 400 beagles, the 400 beagles. Um, the beagles that were just,
Released from labs.
yeah, released from labs. So Cass, who spent the night last night, because she, one of the students who, fingers crossed, will be joining the teachers, had a sign language job out in Palmdale. So she asked if she could spend the night. And so she didn't have to drive all the way home. And she, when we went over her graduation, we did her graduation in person, and she read to me, this woman is going to save all the beagles on the planet. She's got this one that she saved. She's a lawyer. She lives in DC. And so she's the one, we're getting her on as a guest. She's the
Nice.
one that did that rescue. So that's pretty damn crazy. Anyway, so we have that is such a, to me, like when I did that How to Help Animals program, which we're gonna re-release in here through August, just post every day those videos because they were so powerful. You know, it's all different ways. Is, you know, how much do you think that you in that class really helped animals, Afton.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, changed their lives in a lot of cases. Yeah.
We also, Afton,
Claudia, what do you feel like? Did you
I, I,
help them?
I don't want to, okay, I'm going to phrase this. We didn't just change lives, but we, thanks to the class in part, not fully, in part to the class, a major shift happened at a shelter in Tennessee, right, Afton?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. That was the,
We've made a huge impact.
Maybe you could
that was
share
the,
that story.
yeah, that was that class. So what my instructions were is to work with groups that we know are no kill, doing things the right way. And, um, that's what I looked for. So I partnered up with some groups I already knew and started there. And one of the groups, I trained some of the people there years ago to do no kill. So I knew they were doing what I thought they were doing, I thought. And so things go on and we talked to the dog, and we had some weird stuff that week where she kind of told me she wasn't real sure about her behavior. And I said, well, let's go ahead and talk to her. It can't hurt. And it didn't, of course. We, at minimum, the dog felt seen and heard probably for the first time in a very long time, if not ever, and was able to, express herself and feel supported in that way. And then what it did after the fact, so we lost that dog. The shelter didn't follow through and give her the time and resources that she needed to move forward. So she slipped through the cracks there. But what the class did was support our contact person there, which is a person who does no kill properly. She was being kind of squished at that shelter, and she had the confidence then to speak up and start what became a state investigation into that shelter director. And he has since he retired, but it was a forced retirement. So to avoid a big public ordeal. But there was an HR investigation that resulted in his resignation, and there is still an ongoing state investigation into his practices. So not only did we lose her, and in 2022, you shouldn't be killing shelter animals for any reason. There's plenty of resources and plenty of programs that aren't doing that. There's no excuse anymore. So that was the first problem. But it unwrapped an onion of layers of other things he was doing that were also not okay. And so he's out of there. The animals are safer. Kara was her name. And, because of her, that shelter stopped doing what it was doing, and it turned into a different situation. What they presented was very different from what was really going on. And had we not dug into that with that class, it would still be that way now. And they would still be the animals would still be slipping through the cracks there. And they're not. I mean, she stopped it.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was individuals' lives, and then hopefully a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of lives that would have slipped through the cracks
Mm-hmm.
have been impacted that we won't even know about. But that's sort of like that magical thing that this work does. I mean,
Yeah.
this work works on so many levels. So it's really powerful. Any last thing that anybody wants to say?
I would like to add that I'm going to get emotional. Ashton and I get really emotional with this. This program, the AC Level 4, hasn't just changed animals' lives and the shelter where Cara was and the animals we've worked with. It's changed every one of us on a core level that have taken this class. And I know a few people that are in the class might be on the Facebook Live right now, but I know that we will never be the same. And it's a very powerful experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed us.
Yeah, we'll never forget any of those animals, the ones that came in and moved on and had a great outcome, we celebrate, and the ones that, are a little heavier for different reasons, we'll never forget any of them, for sure.
Does anyone have any questions for Afton or Claudia about working on this level? I mean, it's funny because I'll never forget Valia saying, why do we have to have all this advanced work to work with shelters? And it's like, then she takes that shelter class and she's like, oh, I couldn't have done this if I hadn't had this, and this, because getting to neutral without bringing all of our feelings and all of our our stuff. And I mean, obviously, Claudia's really moved. You can't see that she's in hysterics. No, she's not. But you know, she's definitely teary, and I get teary when she gets teary about this teary situation, and then Afton's probably holding back. So, you know, but we of course we're going to feel these things, yet we have to be professional in this at the time.
And we have cried in class with
Yeah.
a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't cry, but it's just we can't make it about us and our feelings, and that's a big that takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people that start out in the school are like, oh, and myself included, I can't go into a shelter. It kills me. And now I can walk in because I know I'm creating hope and help.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my feelings, I would say, if your mission is bigger than your feelings, then you're on the right track. You're going to be able to do right work. You're going to be in alignment with, you know, the powers that be. So it really is, some of our program is really, most of our program is setting people up to walk out professionally and be able to help on that level. Claudia, is any questions, comments, observations?
Ellen E. says, thank you for your love for Kara and the shelter animals welfare. Yeah, Kara is, okay. And thank you, Ellen. And then Jerry Lynn Afton says, I just came back and missed some of this, but is there a program for shelter animals about their food? I know dogs can have vegan food. I'm not sure about cats, but it seems counterproductive to feed shelter dogs food that consists of other animals.
There isn't, to my knowledge, an official program for that. I know there's a large national no-kill movement that I would argue is becoming more international every month, but that movement is not by and large married to the vegan movement, which I do think is interesting, and what you're saying is accurate. But there are a lot of people that do dog and cat rescue that aren't vegan, so it's very isolated in their mind as two separate things. I think that it's overlapping more. The founder of the no-kill movement is vegan and has vegan cookbooks and things, and so it's part of his message from the folks that actually learn from him. Dogs can very much so be vegan. Cats, that is a newer thing. I know when it was initially a thing that started and people were trying to make cats vegan, it didn't go very well. There were some cats that didn't stay healthy on that kind of diet. There are some newer foods I think that are pretty promising. Oops, sorry about that. Cat problems there. Speaking of cats. But yeah, there are some promising things. And I mean, personally, I can't speak for everybody, but the lab meat that I'm not very excited to eat because I don't really miss real meat. But I'm super excited for my animals to eat it if that's what they choose to be their diet. Yeah.
Same.
And I think that's really going to shift like how we make their food. And so I'm anxious to see if that can happen in the next few years. I'm hopeful.
Me too.
Me too, me free.
Yeah, not anything I'm interested in, but yeah.
Yep. No, thank you.
Any
Kristen, go ahead, sorry, John.
Any other questions, comments, observations?
Kristen says, people coming together and caring, just saying this is important and worth spending time, that in itself starts a ripple effect. She says, and I love seeing Afton with a cat.
Oh, I'm with dogs a lot and historically with pigs a lot, but yeah, I have a cat. I've had a few cats in my life, but Church is a great one. He'd try lab meat. I know he would.
Yeah. Jerry Lynn Atkins says, yes, lab meats. Oh my goodness. Lab meats for dogs and cats. And Lauren Mon says, me for about the lab meat for the animals. Yes.
Yeah, and there's how many animals are carnivores that are in captivity for various reasons too. I mean, I've worked briefly at a tiger shelter sanctuary, and it's a lot of meat they bust in and out of there to keep those animals fed, and like for that to shift over to a non-cruelty form of food is, I mean, humongous. That's a humongous difference that would make.
Yeah. Okay, Amber, we have another comment. Amber Williams says, starting this journey that I know has been calling for a long time. I know I have found the right place. You have.
Oh.
We all feel, oh, I have a kitty cat that came to say hi to Afton's kitty cat.
I don't have any cats. I'm feeling a little left out. Oh my God. Can we put that on camera for 1 second? Hold
Yes, go ahead.
on. Hold on.
Just jump in.
Do you have Lakshmi? Who is it?
Buttercup.
Buttercup. Oh, hi.
Hmm. Such a beauty. All your cats are beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you, Afton. Thank you for the
Of
work
course.
you do. Thank you for sharing it with us today, impromptu. And thank you, Claudia, for sharing. We're going to be doing a whole lot more of that work. We're just expanding as we go. So anyway.
I
So
swear I
Thank
can't
you.
help think how this feeling is just the beginning. Like that, it doesn't matter how long I've been in the program and how long how we keep building it out and adding all these new classes. It just still feels like it's just the beginning, right?
Yeah, it is. So for those that are interested, we have the fall intensive coming up, 3 days of animal communication, 3 days of death and dying, and 3 days of energy healing for animals. And then we have animal communication level 1 and energy heal at the end of October. November 10th is energy healing for animals. And then Afton and I go to Kenya. But then also, we have Marie Christine's Subtle Energies. We have the Animals in Transition starting in September. And starting in September is Om with Jill and Joan. Dr. Jill Todd teaches Om, which is organs, meridians, and emotions. Om. And that's a great acupressure class. That's 12 weeks long. So we have lots of fun stuff coming up. And if you have any questions about it, you can always reach out to Shannon at info@joanranquet.com. And anything else?
No, just everybody saying, well, Buttercup stole the show a little bit, but Kristen Hedberg saying thank you, Afton, Joan, and Claudia. Daniela Van Amsterdam saying thank you, lots of love. And I just want to say Buttercup is loving the comments, so thank you. She's not vain at all. Yeah, we're good.
Great.
Emily Concetta says, I'm signed up for AC level 1 and very excited.
Yay.
Can't wait to
Yay.
class.
Yeah, that's the gateway drug.
That
Right.
is. You'll get to speak to Buttercup.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. See you next week.